So without even realizing it, I have been restructuring my business, and now I'm going to bring some conscious intention to it. And I want to share my process out loud, allowing people to see my process and the behind the scenes things that I'm working through and the method behind my madness and just the real raw things that nobody really shows really is part of my zone of genius. And it's something that I often receive reflections back to me like, oh my God, it's so helpful to hear your process out loud. I'm so glad you shared that with me. Like, now I feel less crazy. And obviously, like, me embodying and showing this stuff out loud widens the permission field for you to do some of this unconventional strategy work in your business. And I've also been thinking about how, for the better part of the last year, as I've been stepping more into the role of business coach, for lack of a better word, although I absolutely don't identify with that because I'm not a business coach. But if there's like a drop down menu and I have to pick one, I guess that's where I am. Um, where was I going with that? I dropped something at lunch, and so now my dog is licking it and it's distracting. Hey, Piper, can we clean up later? Thanks. Yeah, just reflecting on how kind of the last, let's call it like 4, 5, 6 months, I've found myself in this very familiar loop and belief pattern that says, you can't teach this until you have become an expert in it. And I'm so familiar with that belief pattern. It's an old one for me, and it keeps kind of showing up in new levels. And so, yeah, it's creeping up again where it's like, you can't show this because you don't know what you're doing yet. And you know what? Fuck that. I don't think we're ever supposed to know what we're doing. I think this whole idea of like becoming an expert is absolutely like the old paradigm of business and coaching and mentorship. Like, that's not actually the goal anymore. And I think people are actually not even experiencing epic transformation when they're in containers with a so-called expert, because what's happening is it's perpetuating this like savior victim complex, right? Where the coach, the expert, is the savior, and the client, you, if you keep putting yourselves in these containers, are just perpetuating this victim mentality and always looking outside of yourself for the answers, always looking outside of yourself to be saved, always looking outside of your soul, your heart, your wild wisdom for the next cheat code and strategy to your business. And so we're breaking up with that. It's 2025. We are breaking up with that. And that also includes me breaking up with this story that says that I can't share my processes out loud. I can't teach this until I've like completely mastered it. I don't even believe in mastery. I think life and this whole like realm of entrepreneurship truly is a playground, and we're meant to be playful. We're meant to tap into a sense of innocence and, yeah, just that like playful quality where you're constantly experimenting and you're constantly just trying things out, and there's less attachment to outcome and less like seriousness and less pressure. And obviously we have bills to pay. Obviously there is like bottom lines to meet, but there's a way to still achieve all of that without putting a bunch of weight on your shoulders. And what we know, what I'm sure if you are in my world, you see this too, right? The old paradigm, the more traditional bro marketing business lens is like profit over people, and not even just like profit over people in the sense of customer service, but profit over your own well-being, right? It's it's normalizing this story that says that success and more money can't come without sacrifice. You have to give up parts of yourself. You have to literally extract every last drop of yourself in order to win. And I mean, it's not even about winning, right? That's not real either. So anyways, breaking up with this story that says that I can't share this unless I'm an expert at it. So I'm absolutely not an expert. Let's start with that. Don't come to me thinking that I can save you. Don't come to me thinking I have all the answers, because I don't. But what I do know, and again, this is what I've been reflecting on, is even like way back in my nursing days, one of my favorite things in the job, and this is very much an unpopular opinion because most people hated this, but I loved when we had student nurses on our unit. I loved having a student working alongside with me where I got to literally like think out loud and share my processes out loud. Again, I remember when I was serving too, I was always the go-to person to train new servers coming in, and I loved it. I love it. I love sharing my process. I love thinking out loud. I love helping you find your own rhythm and way of doing things and finding ways to be more efficient and creating systems that really work for you, right? It's not about, okay, this is how I do everything and you have to do it this way too. I've said this in numerous places and it really continues to be an anchor. Like, my approach is not prescriptive. I don't have a prescription for you. My approach is simply genuinely exploration, right? So I love holding the space for you, kind of shining light on maybe your blind spots, shining light on the things that you're not seeing, and helping you really find your own way. And I was reminded by one of my mentors, she was kind of sharing her why, and a light bulb moment for her was like, I don't want to keep giving people the fish. I want to teach them how to fish, right? And I think that's exactly what I was getting at with the old paradigm of business, where there's almost harm being done if we continue to just rinse and repeat this cycle of like, you come to me, I have the answer. You come to me, I have the answer. You come to me, I give you the fish. You come to me, I give you the fish. You're never actually empowered to learn how to fish yourself, right? So again, yeah, I'm really leaning into that where like, I don't have the fish for you, but I'm happy to help you learn how to fish. And I'm also going to learn how to fish beside you. And we're fishing for different fish, right? And we have different tools that we're using, and we're just figuring it out together, right? Because the world, the realm of entrepreneurship is just our playground. And so we're literally playing around. Anyways, where this is going is my desire to share my process out loud in the restructuring of my business. So one thing that became very clear to me in the last couple weeks is I don't want to do one-on-one work. This has been something that I've known for a long time, at least subconsciously. I don't know if I've really allowed myself to name it. I'm constantly kind of trying to talk myself back into it. And it's never been something that lights me up to market. It's always just been something that I've had kind of on the bottom of my website. It's there if you're looking for it, but it doesn't light me up. And it's not that I don't want to work one-on-one with folks. It's that I truly believe in the power of community and the power specifically of women gathering, especially like-hearted women sharing similar ambition and vision and values. And you know what? No, it's not even about having the same values, because I actually think part of the beauty of being in community is reclaiming and remembering the art of disagreeing, right? Because our society culture has really lost that art, and we're so quick to cancel. We're so close to just like turn our head and close an eye. So yeah, the power of community, the power of group coaching, group mentorship, the power of being in circle with women who are widening the permission field and constantly reminding you about the field of possibility, right? Because otherwise we get stuck in our heads and we get stuck in the loops of, well, that's not possible for me. But when we surround ourselves with believing mirrors, then like reality becomes limitless, possibility becomes limitless. And so I want to pour more of my attention and energy into group mentorship spaces, whether that's workshops led by me or masterminds or memberships or whatever that looks like. But part of what I want to incorporate in my business model is no more one-on-one work. The only time I'm going to work one-on-one is if you're already in the group environment with me and you're desiring like extra one-on-one support. I really don't want to, the power of group work is incredible. And I have both evidence in myself and evidence with clients that the transformation is both more potent and more efficient when doing it in community. And the whole saying of like, together we rise, like that really is true in this sense. And again, old paradigm of business really was focused and anchored into like hyper individualism and hyper self-sufficiency. And again, we're just not into that anymore. So I'm, restructuring my business to align with those values and align with like where the excitement is for me. And I was actually just playing around with like, okay, what is it about offer creation? I'm kind of calling this sacred offer creation, because again, we can fall into the traps of offer creation really being propelled by this energy of desperation and this energy of needing to fill a gap. And it gets to be a lot more fun and playful and impactful on both ends, right? Us as the receiving end for what we are able to earn as profit, and also like what we are able to receive in terms of like a level of fulfillment. And like, when you've been in session and you've done something and it just fucking lights you up, right? That's what we're going for. We don't want to do any more extractive shit. So the perfect recipe for this sacred offer creation is, let me just pull it up. And this will be evolving, right? Again, I'm sharing kind of the work in progress here. This is what I came up with 2 minutes ago, and this might change tomorrow. But part of that sacred offer creation blueprint is recognizing and uncovering what your zone of genius is, right? And that truthfully isn't something that you need to learn. This is something that you are just natural at. It's that thing that feels too easy that it almost feels like you're cheating. It's that thing that you would be doing for free, but you're really, really good at. And maybe you're even like shy about it because it comes so natural to you, but you see it as a challenge for other people. So your genius mixed with your joy, what actually feels fun for you, what actually lights you up. And this actually can be really hard to determine if you haven't really played around with like what feels good in your body. If you've kind of been disconnected from your body and stuck in your head for most of your life, because I've been there. I had to go on this journey of like reconnecting with the sensations in my body and like remembering, oh, this is what like fun feels like. This is what pleasure feels like. This is what joy feels like. And expanding my capacity to hold that pleasure and joy. So your zone of genius, your joy. And then the third piece is matching that with your capacity and your embodiment. So capacity meaning like, what do you actually have the capacity for? What can you actually show up for, right? If you are still working a full-time job or like a full-time mom to a baby, then obviously you can't fully book yourself with like 2-hour Zoom calls every day, right? That's not going to be fun. That's also going to be very extractive. I don't even care what your human design is. It's probably not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable. So recognizing like what season of life you're in and what your nervous system's capacity is to show up to the offer and your embodiment. So like, are you actually embodying the stuff that you're teaching? So a combination of all that gets to then be aligned with what your client's desire is, right? What is their conscious desire? What are they going after? Mixed with what's kind of I wrote congestion. And what I mean by that is like giving language to their congestion, almost like giving them a diagnosis of like, I see this as maybe what's going on for you. Let's explore it more. And again, this is from an explorative approach, not a prescriptive approach, right? But this is also like you're not poking at their pain points and like breaking open the wound even more, but you are maybe illuminating and validating that pain point and giving language to like, hey, this is maybe what's going on for you and this is maybe why it's not working. Let's go here, right? And then so your client's desire, giving language to their congestion, and then ultimately expanding their field of permission and possibility. So showing them like, hey, there's a new way, and that comes with your embodiment. That comes with your ability to be a role model and to empower them to learn how to fish, right? Because again, it's not about giving them the fish. So I'm going to play with that little formula I've created. And obviously, I'm also not really for formulas, but I do think it's a fun little way to begin exploring like, okay, these are the pieces, these are the ingredients in the recipe, and each of us is going to have different ingredients that we're bringing into this like sacred offer creation soup. And then the other piece that is feeling really, really alive for me is bringing language to, I guess, like the energetics of money, for lack of a better word, but not even just the energetics, bringing language to the water we swim in around as women, as folks that have been raised as female, and the stories and beliefs and the conditions that have been put on us around money, right? And remembering that literally not even like 40, 50 years ago, a woman couldn't even take out a loan at a bank without um, her husband being present. And just like the evolution of women reclaiming power and reclaiming like space in this world, and how generationally and ancestrally, there's a lot of wounds around money. And so giving language to that, illuminating some of them, not like ripping them open, not excavating the trauma related to them, but just beginning to notice, like, what stories and beliefs am I holding around money? And how is this potentially showing up and manifesting in my business, in the sense of me being able to receive money coming in, and in the sense of how I'm pricing my offers, and in the sense of how I'm marketing myself, right? How am I showing up from this place of desperation, right? We've all been there, I think. At least I've been there, where things aren't working and you are really so desperate for it to work that like desperation is palpable in your marketing. What also often happens is showing up from this need to prove energy, right? And it might not even be like a need to prove to something outside of you, but like a need to prove to yourself. I need to prove to myself that I can make money, or else. And then you put conditions to it. And then it just becomes this game of transactions instead of like the sacred soul work that, again, if you're in this space, that you likely believe and want in your business. So yeah, this conversation around money is what's feeling most alive for me. And I'm going to be creating a workshop about it. And again, this isn't because I'm an expert. This isn't me coming to teach you all about money and how to make a 6K or a six-figure whatever. I don't even bleh. Like this isn't about any of that. This really is about the below ground stuff that needs to be tended to in order to bring in the wealth and abundance that you've been calling in. And also to kind of break up with like the feast and famine cycle, where like maybe you are seeing money come in, but you're not able to hold it. So it's also about just exploring that a little bit more and yeah, discerning, like, is that a below ground foundational thing to work through, or is it actually more likely like a more strategic scaling your business, having more systems and structures in place to, yeah, just create more efficiency in your business and the flow of money coming in. So, yeah. All of a sudden, I forget why I'm recording. I guess I wanted to name that I'm restructuring my business and I want to take you along. I'm actually feeling inspired to maybe make this like a YouTube series. I've never even used YouTube. I usually host my videos on Vimeo, but that subscription's expiring and I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to convert to YouTube and maybe start putting my podcasts on there too. So yeah, maybe this journey of restructuring my business will become its own mini YouTube series. I also am very excited about the workshop. It's not named yet. I don't have any marketing material, but it is going to be all around like just uncovering and reclaiming kind of some autonomy and sovereignty around money and like the money making potential and creating meaningful money in your business. Because that's the other piece to this is I have so much experience with one, creating offers and ultimately pricing them in such a way where it led to resentment and bitterness towards the offer, right? Not necessarily towards the clients coming in, but towards the offer. And also rushing to try to scale my business. And quick story about this. So one of the very first offers I made was a pre-recorded childbirth. Oh, Crosby was a pre-recorded, basically like mini childbirth course around creating it was called Birth Plan Bootcamp. And I was very excited to create this offering. I obviously moved through levels of perfectionism and imposter syndrome and spent way too much time on this thing, gave up a lot of family dinners and evenings to work on this thing because at the time my daughter was like, I don't know, like a year? I don't even remember. Anyways, made this thing, was really proud of it at the end. Quote unquote, successful launch. Like I had sales, people bought it, people had exciting outcomes from it. So, like I said, quote unquote, successful. But what I recognized from that is every time I had a sale, I literally felt nothing. I felt so disconnected to the women coming into that offer. I felt so disconnected to the money that was being exchanged. It was like meaningless money and actually didn't feel good to receive it because I didn't have that connection with those women. And obviously looking back, there's different ways I could have structured that offer, right? There could have been a connection point where I was actually having like a one-off call with them or right, there was so many different ways I could have structured it, but it really was illuminating for me to find out that, oh, wait, one of the biggest values in my business is like a sense of community and connection. And that offer didn't scratch that itch in any way. It was also really illuminating to know that I don't just want your money, right? It actually doesn't feel good to me to just like take money if you aren't kind of like an equal participant in the exchange. And this again really goes against everything that we've taught about business, right? And that profit over people model. And I feel like nowadays with all this like pre-recorded, dogs are barking. Well. Nowadays with all this like pre-recorded content and mini offers and courses, digital courses, right? Almost everywhere there's the little line as you're checking out that like due to the nature of this offering, it will be non-refundable. And I've really sat with that. Like I've basically copy and pasted that on most of my offerings up until now. And I'm actually realizing like, no, that doesn't actually feel good. If you aren't aligned with what you just purchased and it's not what you expected, like I don't actually want your money. Like it doesn't actually feel good to receive your money. And that is absolutely like countercultural. And you might not even agree with that. And that's totally fine. But being able to illuminate that for myself helps to refine and drive the way that I show up to future offers. And anyways, the point in this is like meaningful money, right? So how do we create meaningful money and how do we create these sacred offers where they're not extracting from us? It's not profit at what cost. It's not success at what cost. It's this beautiful energy of relational connection building and filling yourself up while also filling up the person that you are in relation to and blah. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to stop there. So money workshop coming soon, maybe a YouTube series if I actually follow through on that. And then the third piece to all of this is I want to fucking like mastermind on this. I don't love the word master, so let's call it a magic mind. I want to fucking magic mind this stuff. So like I said, I'm taking you through the process of me restructuring my offer suite essentially. And I want to help you do the same. So if you want to restructure your biz from a more sacred, values aligned, embodied place, then I'm going to leave some details somewhere in the show, in whatever this is linked to, because we're going to have a little magic mind on this. I'm thinking like a 6 to 8 week thing, where again, I'm not handing you the fish, but I'm helping you learn to fish on your own. And we get to just build this community of like believing mirrors and expanding mirrors for each other, widening that field of possibility, widening the permission field, really thinking outside of the box and allowing our desires and our joy to be our compass, right? And breaking up with not just the learned limitations that have been keeping us small, but basically all the shoulds and like the rules around what successful business is supposed to look like, right? Because I call bullshit on all of that. It's not working. And again, if you're in this space, like you know that the old paradigm of business is not working and you are desiring to be part of the new paradigm. And last thing I'll say is we can be kind of quick to fall into this pattern of trying to dismantle the old systems, right? And all of our energy goes into just kind of fighting against them. And I've really been more intentional with my own energy. And it's not about dismantling the system, it's actually about creating a new one. So if you want to create a new system, a new paradigm of business creation, conscious, sacred business creation, then stick around.